Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the review realm once again. We have an album review for you. Of course, if you are new to the show, please hit the like button on this, subscribe to the review realm. It always helps us out with our album reviews. I'm very excited for this one. I was very eager for this album to come out. We did cover this band 11 years ago. We'll mention that in a second, but we're back to talk about them. This is a big one for us. And as always, joining me for the big ones and the not so big ones, the SLB himself, Sam.
Hey John, I too am excited for this one. This is we talk about a lot of metal, we talk about a lot of, kind of big artists, but I don't think we've talked about artists this big this year. This is one that I would say we actually saw them on the tour on the album we reviewed. And I would say that might be a top 10 concert for me to this day.
Yeah, I can't believe that was 10 years ago. And I agree, that was one of the best. That was an amazing show, I will say. And in case you don't know what band we are talking about, of course, we are talking about the band known as Muse. And I'm actually surprised by this. This is their 10th album. We're going to be talking about the Wow Signal. Wow.
Well, so do you want me to lead or do you want to lead on this one? Because I got plenty of thoughts.
No, I do have a lot of thoughts on this. And leading up to this, Sam, I know you weren't there, but we did cover the channel did cover this band 10 years ago. Please go check it out here. We did cover Drones back in 2015, and that was the show. They were touring for that album with the show that we saw, and I think that just added to it because honestly, I think Drones is their best album in my opinion. And I think you kind of agree, Sam. I know you recently went through the discography, which you can touch upon in a second. I think the Wow Signal had a lot riding on it because I don't know if you probably feel this way. Actually, you do because I've seen your ranking. The last two albums, Simulation Theory and Will of the People, the Will of the Will of the, not so good. I thought honestly, I think they're not very good albums, in my opinion. The last two.
There were some songs on there that I liked. So yes, I did prep myself. It'd been a while since I listened to a Muse album because there's a period, I don't know, between around that time, 2017, 2018, to the past couple of years, where I fell off on a lot of bands. And a lot of bands we have been reviewing. And Muse was one of them. Like I was big into synthwave, so I thought, oh, Simulation Theory was that the album?
Yeah.
Um, I'm like, oh, this will be fun. I'll really enjoy this, and it was all right. It was arguably in my rank, and it is like the worst album by a lot. It's not horrible, but it's like this is not like it didn't click. Will of the People, kind of the same thing. It was a little better, but by a lot, but it was still kind of like eh. So, and again, Drones for me, I'm a big Black Holes and Revelations guy. To me, that's a top 10
Mm.
album from the 2000s. That's a tough one. And again, depending on the day, those could interchange on my end. So, and I know that's a hot take. There's a lot of Muse fans out there. I did look at rankings pre Wow Signal and what people thought of these albums. And if I started saying some things, I know people would be upset. So we're not going to talk about those. We're going to talk about this album.
Yes, let's talk about this album. And yeah, like I said, I think there was a lot riding on it since Simulation Theory and Will of the People were not, respectively, not the best albums. Even if they're not horrible, they're not the best. So I thought, okay, the Wow Signal has a lot to live up to. And honestly, with my first taste of the album, which was a while ago, but it was Unraveling, and I said, I love this. I said, if this is what is to come of the album, like I have all the reason to be excited about it. I like when Muse sounds like this, like they bring in that heaviness to them instead of being all synthy.
So I'm a sucker for synths.
Yeah.
So Unraveling, start with that song. That I think is that the one. Yeah, I really liked that song, and it was when the single came out. I'm like, this is good. But when I went back, I'm like, this might be the heaviest Muse track. Like, if you just threw this on and didn't tell anybody what you listen to, they would swear you're listening to a metal band. Like, it gets heavy, especially towards the end of the song.
It seems like it's tuned down fairly low too for what they normally do. I'm not sure. Um, I really liked that one, and the next taste of the album seemed to go in a little bit of a different direction, but, "Be With You," um, I also thought that was fantastic. I think that's the best song on the album. The organ intro, and I guess really throughout, like, gave me goosebumps the first time I heard it.
Yeah, so there's a lot of atmospheric rhythmic songs on this album. Obviously the theming is like space. The name of the album comes after the 1977, if you want to get really nerdy, the radio signal that came from space that lasted 72 seconds. That was a very specific like frequency from deep space, and nothing else has ever sounded like it. So that theme follows. When the organs came in, Interstellar. That's all I was thinking about.
Mhm.
Um, I love it. I love the gospel. The chorus kind of gospely there. I know we're talking about the singles, but I'll tell you, John, I don't think there's a bad song on this album. I really like this album. I listened to this 3 times. Like this is put my head on a pike, but this could arguably be one of the best albums they've ever released, in my
Wow.
opinion.
Wow, okay, that's that I don't get no pun intended there.
Well,
Yeah, I would say it with what I heard before the album came out, I said, "Oh," I said, "they're leaning into a more heavier side. I'm excited about this." Not quite. The album is not all that. But it is sprinkled in there, which I like. I think not single wise, I think one of my favorite songs on the album too is "The Sickness in You and I." I said
mhm.
I wish everything sounded like this on the album.
Um, I have for the sickness in you and I think I that's like my favorite track. That's where I thought the album started to get heavy.
Yeah.
Um, with that breakdown at the end. I just love the intertwined and melodic verse we got going on with that heavy riff in between. It just I don't know, Matt Bellamy. He might have put out a couple of okay albums, but he puts out stuff. I'm just like, he still has it. He can still write.
No, these guys still got it. I don't think the album is perfect because there are dips in this.
Hmm.
I think the album starts off really well. I really like the Dark Forest. It felt like a synthy western, if I were to describe it best.
Hmm.
I loved when the
Um,
guitar kicked in.
very. So the first time I heard it, I'm like, all right, this isn't. I'm not. it's like whatever. But then after I went back a second time, I'm like, oh, this is like a cinematic opening. Like I feel like I'm getting ready to watch a film.
Mhm.
And you and I are big movie guys, so I was like, all right, now I'm feeling it here. Um, perfect opening. Um,
Yeah.
with that, and then I know John, you're not the biggest fan of the I just say the dance singles or the whatever you want to call them, the poppy songs from them. But Night Shift Superstar, I thought was another. I'm a sucker for those. I remember when Second Law came out, Madness still can rock Madness. What was the one off of Drones? It was the second track on the album. Or was it the
Oh,
first
Dead
track on the
Inside?
album? Dead Inside. Yeah,
Yeah.
this kind of fell in line. I'm like, this is the Muse single. This is the one
No,
that everyone's gonna have in the clubs in like 6 months.
no, I did like Night Shift Superstar. I said Synthy Muse is still here and it's probably here to stay. So I might as well embrace it a little bit.
It's like the
That
'80s all over again.
Yeah, that song's not bad. I think the dips in this album for me personally, like Shimmering Scars was one I was like, it started off, this is too easy going for me. It started off. I don't think the album ends well with Space Debris. I think that's a little bit of a lackluster ending.
um, for me, if we stick with the cinematic theme, and I know you and I have both seen different movies this year. I saw Project Hail Mary, and for me, I just imagined this whole album just floating in space in a
Mm.
spaceship by yourself, and it also had like a very Devin Townsend feel. I'm not sure if you've ever listened to his album. What's his name? Ziltoid the Omniscient. Um, that a lot of his stuff is very atmospheric, and I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
The weak points for me is hexagons. It just felt like another continuation of the space theme, just very
Mhm.
atmospheric. It was like all right. Um, Cryogen, I did like. Had that opening of Plug In Baby. I didn't think the riff was that great, but it was,
Cry-
okay.
Cryogen, I wrote Plug-in Baby 2.0. I wrote. That's all I had.
Um, Hush, I did like Hush. With Ellie Gould in the backing vocals again, just the whole space theme, the whole atmospheric.
Yeah.
I, it's hard to displease me, but overall, I was just the first time I heard it, I'm like, all right, this is not bad. And then I went back a second time, and for some reason, the second time it just clicked. I'm like, oh, okay, there's an argument for top five of the year for me.
Mhm. You know, Hush, I also really liked too. I liked what Ellie Goulding added to that song. I liked the riff on that one as well. I would say this album, it dips. It goes, it flows up and down between like what songs I like, and then there's some moments on the album I don't really care for. But I will say this is a big step up from the last two albums. I will say.
Mm-hmm.
Like the last two albums are like definitely tiered at the bottom, I would say, but the wow signal I would say is probably top 5 contender, probably if I were to
Mm-hmm.
guess.
Yeah, I would say that. I mean, I have it's tough because Muse has a very solid discography for like the first 15 years.
Yeah.
You know, so it's tough. Even if you put it above Second Law and then the last two albums, it's still miles ahead of those three
Mhm.
and really good. So, yeah, I don't know. There's a chance this could take over Dead or Divine for me as the top album of the year, but we will see. It's still early.
No, we just I think we just added another contender for in the top 10 albums of 2026. You better keep your eyes open, folks, for that at the end of the year. But no, yeah, I'm really happy with this. I think it's an improvement from the last two albums. They're going in the right direction. Uh, Seem to be kind of a return to form as opposed to just a bunch of experimentation. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much our thoughts on the Wow Signal, the new album from Muse. Let us know in the comments below. Tell us why we're wrong or right. Either one, we welcome it. Thanks for joining us. And as always, do not forget to join the Bedlam.